I was just going to say, because you probably don't want very long answers, I'm guessing, huh?
Right. Well, and
We don't
But
need your
you just
whole
kinda
history about the
edit-
Twin Stadium. You can't see it, but Justin's holding a cheat sheet on his lap.
My name is Justin Knaus, and I'm a principal engineer. And I like my coffee in a thermos mug because I sip on it all morning long, and it has to be hot. So,
I'm Josh Halverson. I'm a principal engineer out of our Wilmer office. I enjoy my coffee black, leaded, at least 2 cups in the morning, and probably at least 1 in the afternoon.
I'm Sheila Croze. I'm also a principal engineer in the Wilmer office. I don't drink coffee that often, but when I do, I like it super sweet.
You know, my inspiration really started back, I would say, maybe in the sandbox. The sandbox, playing with tractors and bulldozers and backhoes, and I mean that really stemmed from my dad. He was a superintendent for a heavy equipment construction company, and he'd bring me to the job site. It led me to the answer of, well, why don't you become an engineer, to answer that little kid's question of why, you know? And it kind of stemmed from, like, if you have kids, you know, everyone's always asking, well, why, Daddy? And why is it like that? And the why, or the answer to it, was being an engineer.
I got sporting a Twins shirt here today. First of all, it's a home opener today. Yay! Finally got baseball, so we're happy about that. Second reason, though, is actually that's kind of part of my story. So, grew up in Watertown, South Dakota, and every summer our big vacation was a big trip to the big city of Minneapolis to go watch a Twins game. And so, you know, just entering the big city, and I was just always inspired and kind of awestruck by all the infrastructure. You know, just the network of bridges and tunnels and highways and that whole mesh network of the transportation system, and then the skyscrapers and large buildings, and just not something you see out in the cornfield in South Dakota every day. So anyway, that was kind of the seed that got planted in me for being an engineer. Didn't really think about it after that. Learned a little bit more about what engineering is all about, and thinking I could really be part of that and design that and be involved in that. And so 23 years later, here I am, a part of it, and that's just kind of cool. It still is kind of cool when you think about it. So that's kind of what was my inspiration.
I come from a family of engineers. Growing up, my dad was a wastewater operator, Class A, and a public works director in the town we lived in. So from there, I'm fairly confident he encouraged my oldest brother to go into engineering, and subsequently my other 2 brothers and I all followed. It's a great career. I watched my brothers go through it and what they were doing. I mean, they're quite a bit older than me. So by the time I was getting into the college age, I saw what they were doing, and I found it very interesting, and to be able to help communities with their infrastructure needs and different things. So I guess mine stemmed from my family.
We're editing this. Oh.
we're actually live right now, so.
It is pretty fun though. My kids ask a lot of questions already, and it's. I don't know about being PE, but helping my clients. I've had a lot of issues in some of my client cities lately where there's near catastrophic infrastructure failure, and to be able to work with them and our funding group, and we've managed to get millions of dollars in grants for some of these small cities that can't otherwise afford to do this stuff, and they have infrastructure that's literally falling apart. So I guess it's been pretty rewarding.
Well, what is the most rewarding part of being an engineer is watch it being construction. Construction, the big show. As Sheila's mentioned, you got so much planning and financing, design. When you actually finally get to see it starting to be built, it's just the awe factor, and that really takes me back, as kind of like what I stated before. I'm back in the toy box, or the sandbox, playing again and watching construction. That's what really inspires me.
I would have to say just the most inspiring thing to me is being part of like a whole team of engineers, or a whole team at Boulton & Mank of professionals. And what I really enjoy is like I mean, the projects are so complicated and require so much expertise now that there's no possible way any one person could have the knowledge to meet all of our clients' needs. So
A lot of it is don't sweat it.
Josh says don't sweat it. Well, I say study, 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 because it's not a day you're going to want to repeat.
communication in general. Communication, I think, in our career is, in a lot of careers honestly, is just as important, if not more important, than the technical aspect of it.
Know your resource to the extent where you know to look it up. You don't need to memorize your books.
Josh said use your resources, and I take that as meaning the people too. I think part of my job as a PE is to help our young engineers get the experience they need, do the things they need, answer the questions they have so that they're prepared. You know, they have 4 years before they can take the test to absorb all this information as much as we can give them, and to use that and never be afraid to ask questions. You know, anything we can teach you is great.
The more you do it, the more you practice, the more you concentrate on it, the better off you get at it. And just try to work hard towards that even early on. I mean, even if anybody's watching as they're going through grade school or middle school or high school or teachers, I mean, that base communication is so important. I know when I go and speak to kids and students, that's one thing I always try and stress too, is just that baseline communication is so important.
Well, engineering is obviously well, it can be a very rewarding career, but if you don't have any passion or persistence, and the last one is hard work, you're never going to see the rewards or what you want to get out of engineering. Thanks for watching,
everybody.
Oh, what were we going to say?
I didn't listen.